All right, friends, it's T-Man, and we back with a new video. And guess who it's on? Jeremy Ether, yes, man. Greg Doucette doing a video on Jeremy Ether himself. Yes, man. I can't wait to do this. I kept thinking about doing a video on Jeremy Ether, but okay. So he's doing one, and I'm going to review this video by Greg Doucette, the gym lifting, recruiting lifting slave himself, and steroid slave. It's you know who. It's Greg Doucette. All right, let's review this. So Greg Doucette says, Jeremy Ether on a 30-day cycle. Okay. Let's review this.
What would happen if I took steroids for 30 days?
And so what would happen if you took steroids for 30 days? Well,
I don't know. It depends what type of steroids are you taking. Depends what type you're taking. Now, I had a friend that once took 10 cc's of Sustanon 250. Now, he was contemplating like pyramiding it and all kinds of stuff because people, they come up with these crazy ideas how to take these steroids. They think if you take a small dose and then work your way up each week, like you go from 1 cc to 2 cc's to 3 cc's, and then you go back to 3 cc's, 2 cc's, and 1 cc, and then you drop off. So yeah, he wasn't really sure how to do that, but he just took it. I don't know. He took he took regular doses per week. He spread it out over 10. I think it was like 1 cc he took per each week, and he spread it out. And yeah, he spread it out for like, I can't remember. I think it was 8, 9, 10. I think it was 12 weeks or something. 12 weeks. He spread it out over 12 weeks. 1 cc. He never increased the dosages. And he gained quite a bit of weight, okay? Like, he looked pretty big. And he told me that the pumps were out of this world. Like, when he was younger, he got these crazy pumps, like when he was a teenager, weightlifting. So, yeah, okay. So, the gains, when he went off of it, they lasted 1 year. So, that means that the hormone lasts, it's still circulating in your blood for a year later. It doesn't just, like, go away. So these so-called artificial gains that he got, they lasted for quite a long time, 1 year, off that small dose that he took. Did he ever do a cycle again? No, he never did. He didn't do any. That particular guy, he never did it again. He just did it as an experiment to try it out, see what it would do. And it all went away. All of it went away. So yeah, I don't know. Was it worth it? I don't know. It's cosmetic, right? Anyways, let's see what Greg has to say on this Ether guy.
you would put on muscle, put on size, get stronger, and then want to take them for another 30 days, and then another, and then another.
No, he didn't want to. No, he didn't really care to do that because he realized it was fake. He did all that work, and the shit went away. He was upset about it, but whatever.
And then another.
You want to do another because you're disappointed that the gains are not sticking around. And it again depends what you're taking. You could be taking oral steroids, and then you gain something for a bit there, and then as soon as you stop the orals, they go away. Because I knew a guy in the gym. He was on D-ball. They were standing there talking, and he said as soon as he stopped taking the D-ball tablets, Dianabol tablets, he said he peed all the gains out. 30 pounds went faster than when he put it on.
What does that first 30 days on juice feel like?
And so what does it feel like? Well, I posted hundreds of videos.
It feels like you're pumped, and you've got a lot more force production. And it really especially works well in young people. The younger you are, the better it's going to work.
I'm going to tell you, for the most part, it feels good. Unless you're using very high doses or you're an anxious person.
It's a drug. Why wouldn't drugs feel good? That's the point of taking drugs, right? They make you feel good.
For the most part,
they give you a high. Taking steroids, it's just like smoking marijuana or doing cocaine or something. It gives you a high. Yeah.
you're going to like it. That's right. I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, when you take steroids, you're going to feel like garbage. You're going to hate it. You shouldn't do it. You're going to take it and you're going to like it. And that is one of the scary things about it.
First, I reached out to a veteran to show me the ropes.
And so should Jeremy F.A., who's been training natural for his entire life, should he suddenly start steroids and take them for 30 days? Of course he shouldn't. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. For one thing, if you do in fact decide to go that route, you have to realize you're probably going to want to do it for the rest of your life. Even if it's just one cycle. When you go off of that cycle, you're going to lose the majority of those gains, and perhaps
Not necessarily. You'll be disappointed. And then you may reflect. Some people may want to keep taking it because they realize it's fake. They got to keep up with the Joneses.
you're going to need to take
And some people, they just figure, nah, it's not worth it.
HRT.
Jaws. Jaws is one of the world's top bodybuilders, finishing in the top 25 as a Mr. Olympia competitor.
And so being someone that used to, in fact, sell steroids, that's right, I used to sell them, took them, abused them, did all of this stuff, admittedly so. I can tell you that so many people are doing so in secret. They're oftentimes not telling their friends, their girlfriends, their wives, their husbands, and yet they're doing it, taking it in secret, and their partners, they turn a blind eye. Many people, they have no idea. Oh, wow, look at you, babe. You must be training really hard now. Meanwhile, you're on test, tren, and D-ball, and you're blasting, and your wife is thinking, you look a little bit bigger. That's it.
Right away, I was so hungry all the damn time.
And so one of the reasons he's hungry all the time is because of nutrient partitioning.
Nah. You're hungry all the time because it's like when you're on a fasting diet, you feel really hungry because here's the thing, you're fasting. Well, starvation diets, let's just put it this way, starvation diets, your hormones are through the roof because they're trying to preserve you. They're trying to preserve you because they're through the roof. So now what you're doing is you're injecting it endogenously in your body. Your body thinks you're starving and you feel hungry all the time because it's forcing you, it's pushing you to eat because it's trying to keep you alive because it's thinking we're starving, we're in starvation mode. Because when you are starving, why is your testosterone HGH through the roof? Because it wants you to eat. It's trying to preserve you. It's trying to keep you alive. That's the body's job, to keep you alive. So I don't know what Greg Doucette is talking about.
Food that he's eating, rather than turning into body fat or being expelled as energy, is now being converted into muscle tissue. And so because of that, the body needs...
How is it being converted into muscle tissue, Greg? Can you please explain to us how it's being converted into muscle tissue? See what I mean? If muscle cells have an MND size limit, a nuclear domain size limit, right? Then how is it being converted into tissue? Please explain it. Why just say that without explaining something?
more food, and so you have an increase in ghrelin.
Come on, it's easy to say it's being converted into tissue. The sawdust I'm eating is being converted into tissue, but how is the sawdust being converted into tissue? How is it doing it exactly? See what I mean? Anyway, yeah. Okay, I don't know. A lot of you people eating a fake diet out there as well, carbohydrates, which is an artificial diet, is not a human diet. So there you go. Okay? It's not a human diet, it's artificial diet. All right? Meat is your natural diet, but you're not just eating meat. Okay. I love this other stuff. Ghrelin is going up. The ghrelin is going up because, why is it going up? Again, because he's taking a steroid endogenously, and it's causing him to be hungry. It's thinking we're in survival mode.
Hunger, and therefore you're going to put on more muscle by eating more calories. Now, remember,
No, it's because you're in a starvation mode, but you're lifting weights at the same time, which is unnatural. A person that is, how should I put it? A person that is on a starvation diet, these fasting diets, whatever, these starvation diets, do they go to the gym and they start lifting weights when they're starving? Their testosterone and their HGH is through the roof. Do they go start lifting weights in the gym? No. They don't do that. So what do these guys do? They inject it endogenously, the testosterone. Your body thinks it's in starvation mode now because why is the hormone so high? And then so you start lifting weights and you start getting hungry.
first cycle you ever go on, you have newbie steroid gains. The same thing as having newbie gains.
And then the steroids stop working at some point, the dosages, because your body's trying to protect itself because now it sees this as, hey, this is not normal. You know what I mean? This is not normal.
But with each successive cycle, you're going to put on fewer and fewer pounds of muscle. And so a person who's been competing for the very first time.
But why are you putting on few and few pounds of muscle with each cycle? Because your body rapidly adapts by doing what? By protecting itself from what? From the steroids, just like alcoholics. It protects. Everything is an adaptation means a protection. Just like if you were to build muscle, if you actually were to build myofibrillars, if you get damaged, these muscles, they become damaged. They don't become damaged anymore. They stop being damaged. Why? Because the body protects itself by doing what? By repairing and remodeling stronger so that it's resilient from further assaults to build any more muscle. So it could carry you through a famine. In the natural world out there, you're doing something unnatural. You're forcing something unnatural. But out there in nature, everything works natural. So your body's going to still, the defense mechanisms in nature still work the way they work. They have never changed. You understand me?
They might do, for example, a cycle of Anavar. They'll notice, wow, I'm losing weight while eating 1,800 calories. The second time they...
It's definitely suppressing it. Losing weight, gaining, losing fat, gaining. Okay.
Go on a diet while eating 1,800 calories, they're not losing any, and they want.
It's the hormone it's being shifted, it's being diverted. The energy is being diverted from the fat cells into the muscle cells because you're lifting weights, and your body thinks it's starving. Get it, man? It's not hard to understand these things. Science explains all this.
Why? Well, the reason is because you've already put on so much muscle on during that first cycle that the second cycle, while you're eating 1,800 calories, your body is not building.
Again, eating calories. You're not eating a high nutrient diet. You're eating calories, an artificial diet. Here's another thing. You're injecting these hormones artificially to induce, I would call, whatever you want to call it, autophagy, or no, not, fucking whatever, this starvation mode. You want to mimic it. And then on top of it, you're eating an artificial diet. So artificial hormones, artificial diet, creating artificial muscles called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy muscles. Now, I'm not denying that steroids, if you move a heavier weight at some point, that domain plus you eating the food being recycled and whatever, it depends on how much you're eating. I don't know what you're doing there exactly, okay? Let's just say you're pushing this domain. Will it donate it nuclei? Well, science says it's donating nuclei, okay? Because you're lifting heavier and you're eating a lot, okay? So you're forcing that domain. And what do myonuclei do? They synthesize protein, okay? But that doesn't mean very much. Now, WADA says that they want to punish steroid users because these myonuclei hang around and they enhance you. They enhance you physically, okay?
Much muscle, and it so doesn't need as many calories.
Can you get myonuclei naturally? Yes. Can you be anabolic naturally? Yes. How do you do that? It's easy. You have to eat all day, all night. Okay? All day, all night for hours and hours, and you'll be in an anabolic growth state. Therefore, you've converted you're suppressing the catabolic hormone. The catabolic hormone converts to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, making you anabolic. Okay? So you can be anabolic with food if you can afford it. You have money, and then go lift in the gym and try to shoot for an adaptation. All right? You're shooting for an adaptation. An adaptation means muscle damage. Because when the muscles are damaged, that's when the progenitor is activated. It can donate its nuclei to that domain for further growth, and you'll get a repair and a remodeling, so forth and so on. It's complicated in the natural world when you're building real muscle.
Have a cheat meal every day. Meal every day.
Remember, you don't just want to get some nuclei. You understand me? Like, you don't want to just get nuclei. You want to build some myofibrillar growth, something permanent. Okay.
And then maintain six-pack abs.
And so
I have friends that did that. They took Winstrol V and they ate that kind of shitty food. They ate pizza and all this kind of stuff, yet they still looked super lean. Because what's the difference between anabolics and androgenics? A drug that's more anabolic than androgenic, or a drug that's more androgenic than anabolic? Well, an androgenic, when you take these androgenic drugs and you eat an artificial diet, carbohydrate diet, it's going to absorb a lot of glycogen in the muscle, giving you that fullness. Have you noticed Tristan Lee lately? Is that real muscle? No, it's carbohydrate because he started eating carbs. That's why he looks so big. There you go. It's fake. They call that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It's artificial muscle growth. Is it based on myofibrillar growth?
Clearly, when you're on steroids, you're going to need to eat more food. I think everyone would understand that. Imagine if you're on...
The question is this. He's on steroids. Why is he eating an artificial diet, carbohydrates, pizza? Why isn't he eating protein? I thought protein builds muscles. See what I mean? You go and try to lift and try to build muscle just eating protein, and you'll find out very quickly what's going to happen there.
Steroids, you're eating 500 extra calories a day, you're pretty much going to be at homeostasis. You won't put on body fat. So, of course, the pros look very good.
When be in homeostasis, you're out of homeostasis. What are you talking about?
You first start taking steroids.
You're not going to put on body fat with Winstrol V because its job is to shuttle the energy in the triglyceride into the muscle.
You're going to have more energy. You're going to have a faster metabolism. You can eat more. You're building more muscle. You're getting stronger. But remember,
as long as you're taking the drug, but once you're not taking that drug, it's all gone. And it's very toxic because what? It's made from plants. If it's made from plants, it's toxic because they carry a lot of toxicity in them. That's what's going to really do you in, kill you.
all good things come to an end.
Strength-wise, I think it was like 2.5 weeks in, 3 weeks, I started noticing some strength increases.
And I can tell you I was immediately stronger. 2.5 weeks before noticing a strength increase or getting bigger, for example, unless you're using a very, very long...
Again, artificial strength. It's not based on your strength. It's not based on any physical strength. What's it based on? Molecule strength. Get it, dude?
Esther, the changes should be much more prevalent.
So it's based on molecule strength. And some people chase this molecule strength in an adaptation. That's why it goes away so quickly. I wouldn't say that's something permanent either. Look, sarcoplasmic muscles are not permanent. They're artificial, and this force production can be considered artificial. It's based on an adaptation system, but it's based on androgen receptors and androgens binding with them, giving you more force production. Can it go away if you stop lifting? Yes, it could go away quite quickly. Now, if he stops taking the steroid, will it go away? Definitely. That extra force production he got from lifting will go away immediately.
Early on. For example, for myself, if I'm taking Anavar and I'm going to the gym in perhaps 2 or 3 hours, I'm 100% going to notice it. Not only going to be feeling stronger, I'm going to have a greater...
Yeah, if you're taking Anavar, it's oral. Anavar is an oral steroid. It's obviously going to work right away, right? Then in somebody injecting themselves, it takes a bit of time to pick up in an injection. Why do people inject instead of taking orals? Why do they always move towards injection? Because they don't want to destroy their liver. It's extremely toxic to take oral steroids on the liver. It's taxing on the liver. It's crazy.
Pump, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to look better. So that is one of the reasons I find it very difficult to not use Anavar, even to this day.
Yes, there's a lot of people online that would say that. It's very hard not to use Anavar. It makes you look super, super good, gives you super strength, gives you super everything. Yeah, it's one of the best oral steroids that are out there. I don't know.
Fourth week hit, all of a sudden it went just like I hit like NOS. My strength just skyrocketed.
Imagine the 4th week for this guy. For me, it was the next day. The next day, I could clearly feel. If it didn't take all that
I believe he injected them. That's why, Greg, he's not taking orals.
long. But if you're using very long esters versus shorter esters, for example, if you're using propionate or if you're using orals, these changes in strength, size, pumps, and so on should be almost immediate.
Natural lifters can gain anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds of muscle in their lifetime. Guys on gear, it goes up to a whopping 45 to 120 pounds.
And so
No, a natural person can do the same thing. I just told you how. They have to be in an anabolic growth state, a positive nitrogen balance. You have to keep eating all the time. How do fat people how do they get to 600 pounds, 700, 800, the 1,000-pound man? How did he get there? Eating. He got there eating. See what I mean? But you wanna eat like that and lift weights in the gym. They're not lifting. They're just eating and sitting there. That's the difference.
But here's the problem. You're saying natural lifters gain typically 20 to 40 pounds of muscle in their lifetime. Enhanced...
That is absolutely not true. You can gain as much as you want. But here's another thing. a lot of the mass part, if you're gaining mass, I'm not talking about the density of muscle fibers. If you're gaining mass, that's going to require a maintenance. That mass is definitely going to require maintenance. And that's why, me personally, on my channel, I shoot for density. I'm not shooting for so much for mass anymore, because I realized, experience taught me that I had to eat so much to maintain the mass part. Yeah, it was crazy. Now, I'm not saying that mass won't go. After a while, if you stop training and you don't do anything for a while, that mass is going to go. What are you left with? Density. But the mass will go. So me, I'm shooting for more density as opposed to mass, but you're still going to gain mass when you're gaining density, because you have to be in a deficit, eating deficit.
45 to 120. The thing is, it's not true. There are many enhanced lifters who are not going to gain 45 pounds of muscle, even with steroids. I'm sorry, but if you have very shit genetics for both building muscle and building muscle with testosterone.
Again, it's all relative. It depends. I've seen people that are able to gain a lot of weight just by eating. I gain a lot of muscle and weight just eating. I forget, you got to focus more on eating. Do you have money to eat that way? That's the problem. Most people don't have money to eat like that.
You're simply not going to put on all that muscle. And guys who are putting on 120 pounds of muscle, they certainly aren't 5'6" manlets. These guys are not putting on 120 pounds of muscle. Think of it. I competed as a 100% natural athlete weighing in the 170s. Imagine if I could put...
I don't believe maybe he trained, maybe he went and did a natural show. That's why he looks so shit. And then he started doing drugs right away.
On 120 pounds of muscle. It says I can only put on 40 as a natural. You really think that taking steroids allows me to gain 80 extra pounds of muscle? That I would compete at 250 pounds on stage? I don't think so.
I would say, like, if you are enhanced, you can probably put on around like 10 to 20 pounds of tissue in your first year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so he says if Jeremy, who gained 30 pounds of muscle, seems to have about average genetics, if you were to take...
He doesn't know what he gained, 10 to 20 pounds of tissue. It could be glycogen. It could be a lot of stuff. It could be a lot of things. Is it 100%? No. Is it based on density? Not particularly. He wasn't shooting for adaptations. He just was lifting, adapted. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's some mass with a lot of glycogen. Again, you're going to run into these problems, the nuclear domain limit. And then what? I don't know. If he's pushing heavier weight and you know, the food is being absorbed, it may push that domain to donate extra nuclei. It's hard to it's hard to say. It's complicated science. Like I said, I was talking with Vegan Gains recently. It's complicated science when it comes to muscle building. My experience, though, tells me otherwise, but whatever.
Steroids in his first year, put on 10 to 20 pounds of tissue in his first year. I would say this is probably true, 10 to 20 pounds, but because he doesn't have amazing genetics, I want to go closer to 10.
He's not trying to get bigger. Jeremy Ether just looks like an ordinary dude. If he was going to get bigger, then he would put in the effort. He would go and eat for hours and hours a day and then lift weights, because that would be the catalyst to build muscle. You would start building muscle constantly and lifting. See what I mean? Lifting, building, eating. Eating is going to build you. No material is not going to build you. Just lifting weights is not going to build your body.
10 extra pounds of muscle. Now remember, while on cycle, perhaps he'd be up 20 pounds, but a lot of that, probably half.
Again, you have to force that. You have to force muscle gains on your body by doing what? Eating all day.
It is going to be water. So if he decide to go out on cycle, remember the pounds on the scale, the muscle is put on, it's temporary. It's not permanent gains he's going to be experiencing.
Yeah, the testes do shrink, and it is very noticeable. It's like almost like it goes to like...
So like this, and
it's like peanuts.
I've used steroids for 10 years and I'm on HRT, and I can tell you my nuts are not the size of nuts. This is ridiculous. Unless other people are losing that. Remember, I haven't examined other men on steroids that closely. I don't actually know, but there's no way they're even close to the size of nuts. Perhaps grapes, large grapes, maybe, but yeah, they do get smaller. Perhaps 50% smaller, maybe 2/3 smaller than they once were at their largest, but no, they're not going to be size of nuts or raisins. It's not going to get that small. But remember, the actual dumbbell, the one that you're actually using, that is not going to get any smaller, and if anything, it's going to, as Rich Piana said, it's going to make your dick look bigger.
That could be permanent. Science mentions that If your testicles get smaller, that may be, yes, that's permanent.
If your nuts are smaller, in comparison, they're going to look bigger. It doesn't get smaller.
I didn't notice.
Protect your wealth by spending.
ED issues.
Erectile dysfunction, ED, this is something that many people don't discuss, but after you go off cycle, very difficult to form the same level of erection, even if you can get one, the same level that you once had. And so many people are having this problem. Even with a proper PCT, even with doing everything correctly, you are very often going to struggle. And so remember, while you're on testosterone, while you're taking performance-enhancing drugs, you may feel like Superman. But after you go off, this is when the nightmare can occur. Now remember, we do in fact have Harder Than Last Time for the downstairs. Interested in this? Code Greg, 15% off. And if you are looking to stay natural, consider G-Test. This can improve your testosterone levels. Remember, if you don't want to go the steroid route, it's not going to be as effective, obviously, but it can improve your testosterone levels. And if it's something that can be done to help prevent people from going on testosterone, I think it's worth giving it a shot.
At the gym, buddy bumped into me, and I completely flipped the.
Man, this video is for advertising for his supplements for sure. Greg Doucette's fake supplements that are gonna build you nothing, phony muscles.
Switch. I was just like, watch where you're going, man, like out loud. And I didn't realize that when it came out of my mouth.
And so for me, I never had any change in aggression. I didn't take testosterone or tren or any of these drugs really and feel like I'm suddenly an asshole. If anything, it's going on a diet and being hangry. That's really a struggle. Those of you who try to get to 5% body fat and you're hardly eating anything, you'll know what it's like when you're starving all the time, you have no energy. It's hard to be in a very good mood. And so if you are in fact that,
Eat more animal fat, and you won't be. Science even tells you animal fat is the preferred energy source of muscle. It is.
You don't want to take testosterone, you don't want to lose your natty card. Remember, you can in fact use Ecti Builder and Turk Builder. These products are absolutely amazing for a
It's based on longevity too. If you want to live longer, you want your mitochondria to run off animal fat. They mention this in Science. I even posted something recently, I think, in my community section the other day. So yeah, animal fat is associated with longevity. A bunch of other things too, but that particularly.
Natural lifter, please consider using these before ever using performance-enhancing drugs. Code Greg, 15% off.
But the true dangers that I would be worried about, and that should always be in the back of your mind, are the long-term effects of steroid use.
100% agree. Most people who are using steroids, they're worried about getting gyno, they're worried about losing their hair, they're worried about acne. Those three things, that's about it. What they should be worried about is getting a freaking heart attack when they're in their 40s. And so, yeah, it's all fun and games when you're teens and 20s. I want to look cool. I want to have a large Instagram following. I want someone of the opposite sex to, at one time in their life, take a second look at me. But remember, what good is it if you can't get it up and you're gone 20 years younger? And besides, you don't need massive muscles to attract people. For the most part, if you get a lot of size and a lot of muscle, you're going to be impressing people of the same sex. Women, for the most part, like guys who are in shape. They like them to be fit. They don't want them to be obese. And so rather than just taking steroids and trying to get huge per se, why not do more cardio? Why not eat healthier? Why not add in GO2 max? If you do more cardio, you get a lower body fat percentage, perhaps somewhere under 15% body fat. You're going to look a lot healthier, a lot fitter. You're going to attract much more people than just getting massive.
Injecting 500 milligrams of testosterone in these different subjects, and some of the guys had testosterone levels that would triple, while other guys didn't rise up that much at all.
And so this is the sad reality. Some guys just have really good genetics and some don't. If you gave 100 people the same exact cycle, the same exact dosages, and said train exactly the same, some are going to get amazing the results. They're going to be IFBB pro bodybuilders. Others, they're going to look like they hardly even work out. You're going to say, there's no way you're on steroids. There's no way you go to the gym. Yet they are. They're training as hard as they can. They're perhaps even eating healthy. But their muscles, they just don't show for it. And so unless you have really good genetics, you're not going to get the changes that you were expecting.
Just because your favorite influencer is using it and he looks okay doesn't mean that you're going to have the same experience as he does, and who knows what he's also going through privately behind the closed doors.
And so the problem is, when you look on social media, people are only bragging up the good things. They're not telling you about the negatives. They're not talking about their negative blood work. They're not talking about their erectile dysfunction. They're not talking about what they're thinking psychologically, if they're depressed or if they feel like garbage or if they're in fact wanting to end things after they go off cycle. But remember, I've talked to these people. I've coached thousands of athletes.
I don't know, psychological. I guess like any other drug, right? They're going through remission.
I know what it's like to go on, and I know what it's like to go off. And I caution you, do not do these things without the advice and consent from your own doctor, and never, ever break the law.
That extra bit of muscle,
Yes, they're going to go to their doctor and get consent to use steroids. Give me a break, man.
I just really don't see that being worth that extra risk. Having that extra 5 pounds of muscle.
And so to me, this is advice that I hate. I hate it when people just talk like this.
Extra 5 pounds of muscle, I don't know. It's not worth the risk. You mean it's not worth the risk because you don't have any money, you can't afford to eat, you can't build real muscles? Okay. Yes.
I hate it when they downplay everything. So what he just says is, hey, unless you're competing, you shouldn't use steroids because those extra 5 pounds of muscle are not worth it. Bull frickin' shit. It's not just going to be 5 pounds of muscle. You know it. If you take steroids...
Yeah, it depends. It depends, yeah. It's going to be a lot of weight you're gaining there.
Maybe if it's just 30 days, 5 pounds not worth it. But if you're going to take steroids for a year, 2 years, and so on, you're going to be gaining more than 5 pounds. And just because you're not a competitor, just because you're not getting up on stage.
Well, it's going to cost you more and more to take higher and higher dosages because they're going to stop working. That's the reason why these poor kids, they drop off later and they're all disappointed. They all shrink and they're all messed up now. And, I need to go on TRT.
Doesn't mean you don't want that muscle just as much as that IFBB pro. Guys who are insecure with their bodies, who can't take their shirt off at the beach, who people make fun of them. Perhaps they have a 2 on 10 physique. Perhaps it's a 0 on 10 physique. They want to look average. Their dream body would be to look average. To look like they maybe go to the gym once a week. That would be their dream physique. And
What? Okay.
even with steroids, they don't have that. And so for them, steroids means the world to them. And so to hear, don't take steroids because what's 5 pounds? Well, I'll tell you what 5 pounds is. 5 pounds could be the difference between being a 3 on 10 and a 4 on 10. And perhaps...
Yeah, I agree. Some of these steroid people, these Olympians, whatever, they're like, hey, man, I just gained 5 pounds. Well, to them, 5 pounds is a lot. I don't know.
looking a little bit better, a little bit. It's enough to make them feel worthy, to boost their ego, to have a little bit more self-esteem, self-confidence. Maybe they'll dare go and approach that woman.
So 5 pounds gives you self-esteem and confidence? I don't understand. How does 5 pounds put 5 pounds on your body give you self-esteem and confidence and all that and boost you and this and that? If you got an ugly, especially if you're trying to go on a date, how's that going to work if you have an ugly face? Makes no sense, man. Greg's crazy.
Hey, I'm 6 feet tall, 130 pounds.
Greg's woman left him because Greg's gotten ugly. His face is ugly. That's why she left him for a better looking man.
6 feet tall, 135.
He's like, but I have a nice body, babe. She's like, I don't care about your body. She says, your face is ugly. Every morning I get up and have a coffee with you, I have to hear that crazy voice, that ugly, crazy, loud voice, and that ugly face. That's why she left.
Maybe it'd feel a bit better. And then once they get to 135, they're going to want to be 140. It's never going to end. You're never going to be satisfied. 6 foot 160? Nah, I want to be 170. And so no matter how much muscle you have, you're still going to want to work harder than last time. Look at Chris.
Can you imagine if you're a Chad and you have a body like that? Then you're like 10 times better. You understand me? To these people, that's what happens. So you have a fucking good looking body. You're a Chad, bro. You're way up there. You're up there with the Joneses, dude.
Bum said 5-time Mr. Olympia. Do you think he's satisfied? Do you think he wants to just stop going to the gym? Or do you think he wants bigger biceps than last time? So one thing I do understand is anyone that goes to the gym.
Man, do you remember Rocky with Drago in it? I mean, everybody wanted to be Drago. Nobody wanted to be Rocky. When they saw Drago, they're like, fuck, I want to be like that. Get it? They want to be built, chiseled, fucking lean, mean fighting machine, dude. They want to be a Chad, like Dolph Lundgren in fucking Rocky versus Drago. They want to be Drago, dude.
They want results. I don't care if you're getting up on stage to fight for the Mr. Olympia title or you're going to the gym for the very first time because you want...
Guy was a beast, the Chad.
To look better in your bathing suit for the beach. Each person has their own reasons to want to use steroids. And
looking good in a bathing suit in the beach, if you have an ugly face, nobody's going to pay attention to you, no matter how good looking you are in a bathing suit in the beach. Yeah, and they'll know you're on steroids because they'll say, oh, look at that guy. Look at him. He's fucking. He's hit like rock bottom, man. He had to take steroids and everything. Look good, come on the beach. He's on steroids and stuff. People are gonna start hitting you being on steroids. Now, if you're a Chad and you look good and you took some steroids, the women probably most likely wouldn't even say anything. Wouldn't even give a second look and say he's on steroids, because they're so interested in what you look like. You just look like a Chad, your face, and then you got the body to go with it even more so. Jesus. But if you got an ugly face and he made a body, but he's got an ugly face, what's the point?
Each person has to fight the battles to avoid them. It's very difficult. I know you want to do these things.
Am I going to take the jump and start using steroids? No.
And so obviously if you take steroids, you're going to be an advantage. You're going to build more muscle. You're going to do it faster. You're going to feel better. But don't forget that all good things come to an end.
These are just drugs, man. You're just playing with drugs. That's it.
You can't, well, you could take steroids for the rest of your life, but
all good things come to an end. Yeah, everything does in life, doesn't it?
of course it'd be super unhealthy. And so one thing I can tell you is no matter who you are, no matter how great your genetics are, you can in fact do the best that you can do. Everyone can be their best version of themselves. And having a shit ton of size.
I love how Greg puts it. Everybody could be the best version of themselves. What's your version, Greg?
It really isn't that important. But what is important?
Greg's insecure. That's why he's on steroids, because he suffers from the Napoleon complex, the manlet complex. He does. He suffers from manlet complex. That's why he's still on steroids. He's going to convince you. Well, I'm taking TRT. Well, I don't know. Is he? Isn't he? Is he? I mean, he's been taking steroids for such a long time. They circulate in your blood. But he's taking TRT. But at some point, I think he's cheating in between. He's cheating.
Fit, being healthy.
Oh shit, I know what it is. It's the Turk builder, man. That's what's causing this steroidal look that he has. Because I know people on TRT and they don't look like bodybuilders, okay?
Perhaps having 15% body fat if you're trying to look aesthetic, perhaps even a little bit less, perhaps 12% body fat. You don't need to have single-digit body fat, and for the most part, for 99% of people, it's not realistic. You're not going to feel good both mentally or physically. You get brain fog, you'll be hungry all the time, lacking energy. And so please strive to have a realistic, healthy body, perhaps at 15% body fat. Don't neglect cardio. Do a minimum of 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise per week. Consider getting...
See, he's not a bad-looking fellow there that what he was just showing. Why was he doing that? To impress you. Did he have a body? Not particularly. He was a skinny guy, but he was young and he's nice looking, because people who are young, they look good when they're young. It's kind of obvious. They look attractive. Young people look attractive. Old people do not look attractive unless you can reverse aging. That's why all these old people, they're trying to market to you all these things to do what? To reverse aging. Why? To make you attractive. The whole point is they want to be attractive, even if they are aging. That is the whole deal, spiel.
My freaking cookbook if you're having a hard time sticking.
Yeah, I'm not going to be eating from the Anabolic Death book anytime soon. No thanks.
To a diet. If you're finding you're overweight, you can't put the fork down. Delicious, high protein, low calorie.
Yes, 100K
options for the big eater. And you're interested in all the natural supplements. We have tons of those at Harder Than Last Time. Click the link in the description. Don't forget code Greg, 15% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to like this video if you
boost the algorithm. Don't forget if you like it. Look, Eubank calls out the twins. I should do a video on that as well. Alex Eubank. Anyways, tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Yes, harder and better than the last time. Comment down below helps with the algorithm. See you later, man.